Thank you, members. Just 3 sentences. What this really comes down to is really just this simple. If you vote against this amendment, if you vote for this amendment, you're voting to preserve the rainy day fund. And that's what a lot of us have been trying to do. And I understand a lot of people have different attitudes toward that, but that's really all this vote is. If you vote for this amendment, you're voting to preserve our reserve account, the rainy day fund. And if you vote against the amendment, you're voting to commit and spend additional rainy day fund dollars.
Mr. Solomon.
The gentleman yield.
Mr. King, yield.
I certainly will.
Thank you, Phil. I appreciate that. When you talk about preserving the rainy day fund, she's not touching a penny that's in the existing rainy day fund. Is that correct?
Well,
not a penny.
No. You want let me answer. What she's saying is, if it gets above about $6.2 billion, that all that money will be peeled off and it will come out of the rainy day fund. I'm suggesting that even if it got to be an $8 billion rainy day fund, it's still only about 4%. We can't predict what's going to happen over the next 2 years, and we need to reserve that money for the next legislature because they're going to need it deeply. Otherwise, we're going to be walking into tax increases next time.
You want to put it that way, that's one thing. For you to stand up there and say that this vote is to preserve the rainy day fund,
which
we are preserving the rainy day fund as is. We're not using rainy day money
that's
this
not
time.
Accurate.
We're
that's
talking
not a correct
about.
Statement.
We're talking about.
That is not a correct statement.
We're talking about future rainy day money that comes in to help our school districts.
That is not a correct statement.
Why isn't it?
This money wouldn't even be used until we got back into next session because nobody thinks it would get above that before. What you're doing by this vote is telling the next legislature when they're in the supplemental budget process that whatever money got above 6.2 can't be used for whatever is prudent at that time, but has to go back to the
based on what we're doing with education, I think that's
you're committing it in advance.
Based on what we're doing with education and what we have to work with in this budget cycle, I think that works pretty well. And we've spent 60% of it. But anyway, I'm going to ask the members to vote against your amendment because I think that in our urban areas, we need to have something to help that enrollment growth that we've got. And this is one of the best ideas I've seen so far without reneging on any promises to use the existing rainy day money in this budget cycle.